Hello! So from here on out, this will be the sewing portion of the series, finally. I have tried to film this intro like 2 other times. The first time, I don't even know what happened. The second time, I talked for like 6.5 minutes and my focus was just going all over the place. Like it was not focused on my face at all. It kept focusing on my background. It was so interested in my treadmill back there. I don't know why. But anyway, so I'm filming this again, and hopefully I cover all the points that I need to. Unfortunately, I am filming this intro after I've done everything that you are about to see in the video, so it's going to be a little bit weird. For me anyway, not for you, it'll be fine. Because now I got to think about, okay, like what all did I actually talk about? And there were things that I was like, I might do this, I might do that. Well, you'll see what I do, and now I know what I'm going to be doing. So anyway, so yeah, I will be doing the first block. I'm just going to do the one block because as you'll see in this video, I ended up still kind of going through some trials just to make sure everything's kind of streamlined. The test block went pretty okay, but in my opinion, I think this went quite a bit better. And you'll kind of like see me talk about it a little bit kind of throughout the video, like, you know, how it's going and everything. So one thing I did mention in my original intro is the way I'm going to go about piecing it together is a little bit different than like how my brain would want to piece it together. So with the quilt that I made with my mother-in-law, so like here's your block, right? What we're gonna want to do is like say I'm just throwing in a number here because I still have to figure out exactly like what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna put like 4 blocks together to start out with, because what I was thinking about doing is just making all the blocks, all 30 blocks, and then at the end putting them all together. But you want to make sure that everything's gonna like go smoothly before you just move on. So you want to go ahead and make 4 blocks, put those 4 blocks together, and then make 4 more blocks, put those 4 blocks together, and so on and so forth. Of course, the minimum amount of blocks you want to put together at a time would be like 2. So you don't want to do like 4 blocks and then put like 1 randomly here. You need to make sure you have at least another 2 to stick onto that. So you want the same amount of blocks being attached. So if you've got 2, you want another 2 attached to that one. Or if you got 3, you need to make sure you have 3 blocks to attach to that side, and so on and so forth. So I'm gonna have to figure out with our layout, like how that's gonna work. If I'm gonna do blocks of 4 or 6 or, you know, whatever. So math again, you know, not my strong suit. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else all I even said. Yeah, like I said, from here on out, I am going to be in this room for the most part, except for if I possibly do pillowcases or, you know, doing the border, I'm going to have to go back to the room and cut that. Yeah, and there's some things that I try in this video that may or may not work out, but you'll see. And an update on kind of my layout here that I've got set up with is actually much easier to like grab all my different stuff instead of having to like search through my drawers, because I like to keep everything tidy. Like I'm not one of those people that just like kind of keeps everything out on the desk, because another thing is I'm afraid the cats are going to play with all my stuff. So it was really nice to be able to just, you know, grab things off my little shelf. And, you know, when I was like putting my pattern together, you know, sewing all that, just look at my paper that's up on the wall. Very easy. So I really liked that a lot. I'm very glad that I made that transition and decided to do that. So yeah, looking forward to continuing this journey, and I think I have a feeling it'll be pretty good in the end. But like I was saying, there were some things in this section here that I try a little bit different. Some of it works out, some of it doesn't quite work out so well, but I think we're on the right track. So enjoy watching. All right, here we go. We are starting out here. I'm just laying out all of my different pieces that I'm going to need for my first block here. I'm starting on the black and white strip that is in the middle. So for a while here, you're going to see me screw up a lot and use my my seam ripper, because I totally forgot about the issue that I was having before on my test block, where if I start too early, which I think it's a normal spot to start, but I think it's just my fabric that I'm working with. The fabric, like the tip of it, will just get like stuck in that hole. And I had to go through this like 4 times just figuring out where to put the fabric to where it wouldn't do that. So yeah, there's a lot of me seam ripping and trying again. 4 times I think here, so very frustrating. I was gonna cut some of it out, but I thought, you know what, I'll just talk through it. And also I got my little fingertip moistener thing out to help with that. I was looking and just seeing if there was something wrong with the teeth, and nah, I mean, they look the same. I eventually remembered that I was having that issue, but it had actually been a while since I'd sewn anything, since I had to do all that cutting. But I did have to start a little further in than I would like, but once it's all sewn together, for the most part, I think it'll be okay. And you can see here, I finally got it. I was like, oh, thank goodness. I found a placement on the presser foot that was going to work so I could continue. So another thing that's kind of different about me doing this is I'm really trying hard to just take it slow, because I'm thinking like, well, number one, I'm not talking during this part, you know, when I'm actually doing it. So that makes it, you know, easier for me. And plus I'm speeding it up anyway. So there's literally no reason for me to rush at all. So just having that in the back of my mind, like, it makes me feel a lot better, and I can really focus. Like, I was like really eyeing that presser foot. Like I kept it lined up pretty darn good in my opinion. So, yeah, really, really happy about that. It definitely got a lot easier kind of coming back into it. And yeah, this was funny. I'm lining that up there because I realized I am missing a piece. And I thought, what the heck? How am I already missing a piece? Oh, there it was. It was on the floor. I don't even know how that got to the floor, but anyway, it did. So that took me a good long while to figure that one out. I thought, seriously, like the first bunch that I'm doing and I'm already missing a piece. Great. And the other funny thing is I actually had an extra piece in there too. So, I don't know, my tired mind. We'll see what other fun stuff we got going on with the other piles. That was just the first one. Okay, so I just filmed like a partial thing, and then my little screensaver thing turned off, and then I realized like, oh, I was not recording this, so I don't have to do it over, but it's fine. I didn't get too far into it. So what I was saying in my little clip that I was starting to do is I'm gonna try to pin these strips onto here. I'm not like a huge fan of pinning, and which is silly because sometimes it can help you out a lot, especially for strips that are this long. It's honestly kind of crazy to me that I even attempted to not do any pinning at all. So we're going to try that. I'm going to pin, I think, every, I don't know, 1.5 inches, couple inches. I'm just estimating here. And I have both my strips. I think I'm going to go ahead and just pin both of them. I'm going to stick myself with a pin either way. So, you know, I'm expecting that. And also what I was saying in my original clip that I was not recording apparently, I kind of got it laid down here and it's lining up perfectly. So that is already to me like a good sign. We're off to a good start here. I'm really hoping that ends up, I don't know, paying off, being true. I don't know. So yeah, I'm so far, you know, really happy with this result. Because I feel like in my test one, even just the initial, like laying it down, it just was not, it just did not look right at all. Another thing that I'm learning, which I don't know if, well, you probably really won't notice this in the video. I'm trying to take everything kind of slow. I'm just really bad about just kind of rushing through things because I want to get it done. But I have to keep reminding myself, you know, I have a lot of time to do this, so there's no need to rush, and I want it to look good in the end. You know, I want to be proud of it. So anyway, that's another reason why I'm going ahead and pinning, just making sure, you know, everything will look good. Okay, so again, I'm going to kind of do the method where I'm looking at what parts are shorter here, and I'm going to pin and line up with those. Let's see, which actually, again, this one's really not near as off, I feel like, as my test block. I mean, it's slightly off, but honestly, it really doesn't look bad. So we're not going to have near as much sticking out as I did with that one. Alrighty, got that. I know I said I was going to go every couple inches, but I'm kind of getting the main parts here first. Stretch that just a tiny bit. Yeah, there we go. Or line back up. I'm going to go ahead and pin while I'm looking at it. I'm going to go ahead and pin to the end here. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to pin the end first. Because once I laid that down, it kind of got it just a little off. So go ahead and stretch it just a little bit. There we go. That's good. I'm just going to pin the end in place there. Okay, now we're going to work on the middle. I don't know if that's the best move. We're going to find out. Alrighty. I'm definitely making pins at the places I know, oops, hello, that I'm going to need them for sure. The parts where the fabric kind of dips down. Alrighty, and then I think, yep, let's do one there. Kind of just doing them like in the middle of the white strips there. It'll be good, and then I like arrange it a certain way and it moves on me. Okay, there we go. I think we're gonna do at least one more. Let's see, yeah, that's probably good right there. Just kind of how it's laying. And yeah, you want your needles to be pointed out, so that way when you're sewing, it depends on, this is another thing I said in my other clip, it just depends on what you want to do. You can remove them as you go, or you can just leave them all in and remove them after you're done sewing. If you have your point toward your sewing machine, then you don't even have to remove them. The needle will go right over those areas. So debating, yeah, I think I want to do one more just for, you know, good measure here. Let me kind of take a look. Yeah, that's pretty even. It's not too bad. So yeah, I'll go ahead. All right, let's go ahead and flip it around and do the other side. Just so that way I don't have to stop again and do this. Alrighty, this side is a little bit more off, but it's not too bad. There's only like, let's see here, these three on the end are like lined up really well. The other ones are, you know, a little bit more off, but okay. I'm gonna pin this end, then we're gonna pin this end. Kind of smooth it out as much as I can here. Get lined up. Yeah, and as much as I want to rush, I'm really trying to not do that. Because I know, you know, when I'm looking at these strips here, I did take my time with them and they ended up, you know, doing better. So Another thing is I totally forgot that the machine does that weird thing where it sucks the fabric under there. So yeah, that at the beginning was just very frustrating. Okay, this is actually kind of nice. So if I take my ends and I just kind of pull them, it'll just kind of lay sort of where it needs to go, which is nice. And then I'll just go ahead and pin it that way. See how that goes. Yeah, there we go. Got a little bit sticking out, but not too bad. It automatically, like if I line it up in the ends, it kind of automatically lines up like with the shorter bits there. All right, whoop. And bring it back up just a little bit. Come on. I think we're just gonna do one more up here. About right there. Whoops. Gotta make sure it goes through both layers of fabric. Okay, so I'm looking at it here. Yeah, we're gonna have to do a little bit of pulling from what I'm seeing, because it is bunched up just a bit. So we will see how that goes. Okay, so yeah, I said that I was gonna do some pulling. Yeah, I really didn't do any pulling at all. And honestly, you'll kind of like hear me talk about it at the very end, I believe, about the pulling thing. It's not really a good method. If you have to pull that much, like, you're probably just not got good measurements. So, so the only reason I would really pull it all is just because, again, with my trouble with the fabric, I think especially the black fabric, it's just so stretchy. I do have to pull it from the back just a little bit, to kind of move it along. Oh yeah, that was me picking up a pin off the floor. So yeah, there's been a lot less stretching in this, like just the smallest amount to kind of get it going along. And my dang camera, it would not focus. I think this is like the only clip where it's like really bad at the end here. The other ones aren't terrible, but I did end up changing a setting on it, so that way it wouldn't do that. So I'm really hoping that the next bit that I record, it just doesn't do that weird refocusing thing like every 5 seconds or constantly, really, because there's just moments. And when I'm doing it, I don't even realize it's out of focus until I watch it later. So yeah, pretty frustrating. So I wanted to go ahead and just show what this looks like after I've got both of the long strips on there. I honestly think we're off to a lot better start than we were on our test block. So I am definitely going to continue pinning this, and I'll definitely be pinning the other as well, like whenever we go to put this strip onto our other ones. Just any long stuff I'm definitely going to be pinning, because I think it really worked out in my favor. You can see it's a tiny bit off, like on this end here, but I mean, it's like perfect on the other end. So I am really happy that I decided to go ahead and pin. I mean, there are some things that, I think should be probably like common sense, but again, I kind of like to take shortcuts, which I know you shouldn't. And with this, I know I also really shouldn't. So, yeah, I'm really happy with it. And, I'm definitely going to do it with the other longer strips as well, whenever we get to those. And then when we have to put the whole block together, because that's going to be a lot as well. So really, really happy. All right, at it again. We're on to our other pieces on the opposite two sides. So I'm just doing my little bitty black strips onto my colored ones. I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, I was just showing that off because it was like perfect on there. Love that. Yeah, more focusing issues. Surprise, surprise. So yeah, I'm just going to do all 4 of them here. I'm not like, worried about any sort of order because they're all just going to go on there eventually anyway. And yeah, just giving a little bit of help there. Just kind of pulling it from the back, which I originally did not condone, but I really think it's needed with this fabric. So I'm just kind of sucking it up and taking it slow so that way I don't get it off. Which, you know, I've looked at my seam allowances and they're looking really good. So I just have to not rush because I want it to continue looking good. I'm afraid at the end I'm just gonna be like, oh, I want to be done. Okay, just kidding. There was some focusing there. It's weird. It's like going in and out like that. Oh, I don't know. Just craziness. Yeah, and this is gonna be a moment that I'm gonna talk about here in a second where I'm like, oh no, I've screwed up. You see me holding them up together and noticing something is a little bit off. Okay, this is kind of an unfortunate stop here. Okay, so the moral of this, I'm just gonna say before I even talk about what's happening here, if you have a pattern, just follow it. Unless you're very good at making up your own measurements and whatever. Yeah, because you know how I was going on about the weird size and the 2 5/8 or whatever. Okay, so it worked the other time on my test block or, you know, but the problem is I wasn't cutting them as exact as I am cutting them now because the measurements are all great now. However, with them being so much better than my other ones that I'd cut out, it is now too short. Which normally isn't like a huge deal, like especially with my other quilt, it wouldn't have been really a big deal at all, just because my seam allowance was bigger. But this, with the seam allowance being so small, it's just, you know, it's a little bit tricky. So I know I said I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to try it just for the sake of, you know, just seeing if it'll work. I am going to iron these pieces, seeing if that just does anything at all. This is like test block 2.0 kind of. This is more of a good college try. I guess a step above a good college try, because I would say the test block was definitely a full-on college try. This one's a step above that. This one I'm doing for real, but so I'm gonna go ahead and I am gonna put the seams down. And that's another thing. I'm getting a lot better at that, doing that 1/4 inch, just going nice and slow. So I hate how much that black just gets soaked. Okay, I'm gonna turn on, oof, my hand got all soaked too. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my iron, and I know I was doing it too hot. Here we go. Is that even hot enough? Okay, I don't have my hand right on it. I'm just, okay, yeah, actually it feels pretty good. And I'm gonna go ahead, get that seam down first. And then I'm gonna just iron just like the rest of it. Oh my gosh, that black really holds on to water. Okay, I can already kind of see it. So I've got that side. I think I'm gonna turn it over. I couldn't even say that word. And just try to iron it out as much as possible. Okay, I'm gonna flip and do the other side. This might not do anything at all. I have no idea, but I thought, you know, it's worth a try. Okay, let me take my little thing here. See if that did anything at all. Maybe a tiny bit. So now I have to decide, you know, for future ones if I want to bother with the ironing or not. Okay, let me just get a comparison here. Okay, there we are with that. And let me get my original. Just kind of see. Honestly, nah, I don't think it really does enough to probably justify the ironing. Yeah, that's honestly pretty much the same. So I don't think I'm going to continue doing the ironing. It was worth a try, you know. I was just curious. Yeah, because let me just lay these down. Yeah, they're basically the same. I'm just going to really have to try to stretch as much as I can and see, you know, where that gets me. I'm going to have to kind of meet it in the middle, I think. So, you know, what I mean by that is I've got my end here and, oops, my end just flipped under. And I'm just, let me see if I can like zoom in here. Oh, okay, I can only go darker, I can't go lighter, so we're just gonna have to, I can't actually tell how light that is. Oh no, it's not too bad. I had to flip up my little monitor there. Okay, so I'm gonna have to lay it sort of, I don't even know if you can tell anything. Okay, that's as zoomed as I can get there. Again, I'm gonna have to meet it in the middle, so there's gonna be, I can kind of see that little bit of black there and that little bit of black there on the end. So I don't want to go too far, like on one side versus the other, because then you'll have too much fabric on this side, and it just won't work out well. So this is going to be interesting. We're going to have to just work with what we have here, because I've already cut everything, which that was just the unfortunate part. Yeah. I just don't even know what to say anymore, honestly. Like, I'm just kind of over it at this point. Not over it like I want to stop. I mean, I don't want to stop. I'm just, this whole thing has just been really frustrating. So yeah, more, like I said, moral of the story, unless you're 100% sure it's gonna work, like just don't do it. Follow the original pattern.
Yeah, I'm really gonna need to follow that advice from here on out. Well, I can't really see myself changing a pattern anyway. I just thought this one was gonna be so simple, you know, but yeah, not so much. But honestly, it ends up working out in the end. You'll see. The way I end up sewing it, I was making like a really big deal out of it, but honestly, it's kind of a non-issue. It's not just so far off that it's not workable. So anyway, that's good news.
All right, and here I am back to pinning. So let's go ahead and get into that. So this is where it does make me a little bit nervous. I mean, everything lines up decently here, especially if we do the stretch thing. Yeah, the only thing I am concerned about is with these parts, you know, not being quite right. We just really need to make sure that we're sewing it to where it's not just hanging on by a thread. The only thing that just kind of bums me out about it is just the fact that I already know that I'm going to have to deal with that through this entire thing now. But I mean, everything else seems better. So if that's the main thing I have to deal with, I mean, I guess that's a plus. And depending, you know, it's not always too bad. It's so interesting though, because there's so much black here. It's kind of hard to even see where to pin it. So yeah, okay, I'm gonna do the same thing again where I'm gonna go ahead and pin the ends. All right. And I also feel like if I go ahead and just pin everything at the same time, that I can kind of just see like how it's gonna line up. Just kind of do like a little test and look everything over. Okay, yeah, pin that. Well, come on now. All right, there's that. Now let's look at the middle here, see what we gotta do. I'm wondering, okay, never mind, flip it back over. Just looking at the back just to see. Ooh, that fabric really moved on me there. Okay, let's look. I almost need like a headlamp to look at this. It's so difficult to see where I need to go with this. Okay, I need to definitely bring that up. So, do a good amount of pinning in the middle here. That's where we really need to focus on. Alrighty. And then of course, you know, when I have to deal with the other ends, when I'm piecing each block together, that's when I'm gonna have to deal with that. So we're only dealing with one side right now. We'll deal with the other side later on. So, and I mean, I just mean like the other side, like of this. I mean, obviously we have the other side here we're gonna have to attach, but we're not dealing with, you know, all four sides at once. So I guess that's silver lining. I don't know. Sure. If that's what you want to say, I guess. I know in my other quilt, I kind of just like put a pin at each seam, and then I'll probably do like an extra one just thrown in there. Why not? Okay. Yeah. Kind of some of this is just going in a little bit blindly here. I've got that pinned down, and then the rest is just kind of falling into place, I guess, where it needs to be. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pin that accordingly and just go with it. I think that I kind of want to do that as my method, like pin, you know, the parts that definitely need to have attention drawn to them. Actually, I'm gonna do an extra pin there just in case. And then the rest of the parts just kind of stick them in there. Okay. I think once I get this, I'm gonna flip it over and just see what that's looking like. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have quite a bit. This side actually looks pretty good. We're gonna have quite a bit sticking out on this side. And when I mean by sticking out, I mean obviously like once it's sewn, you won't see it, but we're just gonna have to keep that part in mind since it's so low here. All right, we got that side. Let's flip it.
Okay, so I'm speeding through this part because literally all of this pinning that I do is for nothing. And you'll have to hear about that in a little bit. I'm kind of hemming and hawing about the whole thing, so this part I figured was really not even important. When I sped it up originally, I forgot to take the audio out, so it was me like saying something. There's no telling what I was saying, but at that point it didn't matter anyway.
So, see, and this is the other part of me that's just thinking like, should I just go with it? Because, yeah, this is gonna be pretty tricky to line all this up. This is another thing where I'm actually debating on sewing one side and then just pinning the other like still pinning it, but maybe pinning the other after the fact, just so I can see how it's going to line up first before I pin it, which I'm thinking I kind of did that on the test block too. Because yeah, if I pin everything at the beginning, I mean, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to only do one side pinned. And then I'm going to sew that and then pin the other side. So that way I kind of know what I'm working with. Yeah, I think that would be the smarter move. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
All right, so here I am. I'm just going ahead and sewing the one side there to start out with. And I flipped it around here because I realized that my black edge there, I can just line up with the presser foot. So even though my fabric underneath it isn't lined up, like that doesn't matter. As long as my black is lined up, because that's going to be the shortest side, then that's what works out. And it did really well. I totally forgot that I could do it that way. So I'll have to remember to do it that way from now on. And I cut this bit because it was just me pinning the other side, and the pinning thing just takes forever. Like, you don't want to see all that pinning. I mean, you got the idea with the first side, so I just went ahead and cut right to the chase.
All right, so I've got my original test block here alongside the one I did tonight. So I'll give you a second and see if you can figure out which one is which. Okay, so the one on the right is the test block that I did, and the one on the left is the one I did tonight. So it's subtle differences, but I can just tell looking through the camera here, and when I looked at them close up too. The one on the left just kind of looks more symmetrical in general. So that method that I was doing, which I actually think worked even better this time, even than the test block, where I was kind of pinning one side and then like laying the other over and pinning it according to kind of how it was laying on that one side. That still worked really well. At least something still worked really well. So I'm going to continue to do that. The other thing is I really didn't stretch the fabric like I did on that block on the right, because like you can really tell, like especially on that bottom, like I'm looking here and it looks just really kind of wacky and stretched, honestly, whereas the left one just kind of looks more just like it's laying natural. So I'm really excited that that worked out well. Heck, even, I mean, it could just because it's not iron, but like even this, oh, my toe popped, on the right here, it just looks just crooked. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm just going to kind of keep doing what I'm doing. Remember to not bother ironing those one parts because it's not going to do any good. And it actually worked out really well. Like, as long as I pin everything, I think it'll do well. And I'm not too worried about it. I kind of have got a rhythm going now that I think it'll go good. So I'm excited for what's to come.